Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to PKFX YouTube trading channel. Today is Sunday and the market is closed right now. It's about to open in a few hours time, and it's a very good time to do the weekly game plan. And I've already shortlisted a few currency pairs that I'm interested in looking at in the upcoming days. So we have quite a bit of a list over here, so I'd like to go through very quickly one by one and see what is the expectation for the market to do in the upcoming days. And we will start off first with AUDUSD. So AUDUSD on a weekly scale, weekly this is a buy. So technically this is the higher high and this is the higher low. So weekly is a buy. And if I go down to daily, right? Daily is pretty much a sell. So this is the lower low and this is the lower high. In fact, this was the previous trade that I closed out, the last trade that I closed out in a win, a profit of 1 to 2 risk to reward. And the overall expectation for this particular trade, I drew previously as per this arrow over here. I expect the market to make some sort of a pullback into this particular zone where the daily EMA is also coming in as a support. Most probably just buffer over here before it makes the next push upwards. Well, this is what I'm expecting. Not necessarily this is what the market is about to do, because the weekly, I see that this is already a good pullback. I'm expecting a retest of this structure point before a push or a continuation movement towards the upside. But the market can always choose to pull back all the way down to this region and test this area before it makes the push upwards as well. So the weekly EMA is pretty far behind. So just got to be careful here. If I'm going to go for a long trade, yes, the long would be a pro trend trade to follow the weekly buy, but we need to make sure that the daily EMA is giving a good support and see the market going up again. On the pullback, this will confirm to me further confirmation that the market is going to continue to rally upwards. And if I look at the 4-hour candlestick as well, this is the lower low and this is the lower high. So technically the 4-hour and the daily is a sell, just the weekly is a buy. So we got to make sure that the market is actually pulling back down here and then bouncing off from this area, come back to retest and then continue for a buy. So AUD-USD, I'm looking for a buy for the upcoming days. Let's see what the market does, right? Moving on to GBPAUD. Now, GBPAUD, if I go to the weekly, technically it's a sell. In fact, I believe it is pretty much at a very low point that it only achieved a long time back. So whenever it came over here, technically it did bounce, and before that as well, it did bounce. So there is high chances for it to also bounce back again. But I see that the latest drop has been pretty significant. So there is also an equal chance for the market to continue to rally downwards. So if I were to just zoom in over here, you can see this is the lower low and this is the lower high. So weekly is a sell. And if I go to daily, this is the lower low and this is the lower high. Daily is a sell. And if I go to the 4-hour candlestick as well, this is the lower low and this is the lower high. Technically, the market came all the way back over here and rejected back again. So any sort of break and a retest, by that time the 4-hour EMA will also come down to act as a resistance, and we have the round psychological number of 1.86500 to act as a resistance. So any sort of such movement of a break below and a retest will give me more confluences to say, hey, I'm going to continue to sell. And if this happens, this trade can actually be held for quite a bit. But I don't want to conclude yet. Let's see if the market actually does that, because the market can always, open back tomorrow and just break above the stop loss and keep rallying upwards, right? So I want to get some sort of confirmation. Ideally, I'll aim for a 1 to 2 risk to reward, but will really depend on how the market positions itself when the market opens. So GBPAUD, I'm looking for a potential sell, may just end up as a very good risk to reward sell. Moving on to GBPJPY, if I go for the weekly candlestick on GBPJPY, so Japanese yens, they have been trending upwards. So in general, the expectation is for it to continue to trend upwards. And GBPJPY seem to be in a good area right now. If I were to zoom in nicely, we can see that the weekly is actually a buy. This is the higher high and this is the higher low. and the market has already pulled back sufficient amount, and I expect some sort of a retracement this week. If I go to the daily candlestick, right, the daily, this is a lower low and this is the lower high, so technically this is a sell right now. And if I go to the 4-hour candlestick, also it is a sell right now, being this as the higher high. So since the 4-hour EMA is pretty high above over here, I'm expecting some sort of a push upwards and then a retest to confirm this area to bounce, and then a buy for GBPJPY. If you can see, I'm just putting a risk to reward of 1 to 2 right now, because if I go to the daily structure point, this area can act as a potential resistance, and by that time the daily EMA is also going to come towards the downside. So a good risk to reward or a good take profit area can just be over here. Now, can the market continue to rally upwards? Probably, but if I'm getting a 1 to 2 risk to reward over here before it comes and retests the structure point over here, why not, right? So GBPJPY, a buy is what I'm looking at, and there is also quite a bit of JPY pairs. Not all of it is lined up properly. I think this is one of the nicer looking JPY pairs, GBPJPY. If I look at CADJPY, right, so Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, if I go on the weekly basis, the weekly, technically this is the higher high, this is the higher low, so technically the weekly is a buy. If I go to the daily, this is the lower low and this is the lower high, so daily is a sell, weekly is a buy, daily is a sell, and a 4-hour is actually a buy right now. So the 4-hour is a buy right now. And if I look at the market's position itself, let me just adjust the screen. Okay, so on a daily scale, if you look at this market, right, it is coming back to retest this area, and this area right now is acting as a resistance. I need the market to break above this area, turning the resistance area into a support, all right, and then pull back in again, so that I can make this as a support instead of a resistance. And when it does that, then at that point of time, the daily EMA will come below to act as a resistance. The round psychological number of 115.500 will come as a resistance as well. So I have more reasons for me now to continue to buy CADJPY, right? So essentially, I'm expecting for a buy, but I need more confirmation from the market. As per the blue arrow over here, I need it to break above, reconfirm the resistance into a support before I can go for a buy. So that's CADJPY. Moving on to USDJPY. So in this pair, if I look at USDJPY, same thing. Over here, the weekly is technically a buy. This is the higher high. This is the higher low. So weekly is a buy. And if I go to the daily candlestick pattern, the daily is also a buy, right? And right now, the round psychological number of 158.000 and also this EMA is coming in nicely to act as a support as well, right? So the 4-hour, if I go to the 4-hour candlestick, it has been rallying for quite some time now as a buy as well. In fact, this is the higher high, and pretty much this is the higher low. So it has not really made any sort of significant retracement. Therefore, my expectation is for the market to pull back down here, and then the next push upwards would be a good entry point for a buy. In fact, I'm going to put USDJPY above CADJPY because I believe this has a better pair structure, right? So GBPJPY, USDJPY, then CADJPY. Let's look at EUROJPY. Now, EUROJPY, if I go to the weekly candlestick pattern, right, I see that the weekly, let me just zoom in nicely over here. Okay, so EURJPY weekly, this is a buy, this is the higher high, this is the higher low. Market had a significant push downwards, hold this area the following week as potential support. Last week it made a doji. So it is technically an indecision candle. It can always dump downwards or even push upwards. So it's really indecision right now. That's why it's not one of my main pair yet. But the weekly is positive. It's bullish, right? The daily is technically bullish, right? This is the higher high and this is the higher low. So daily is bullish, but it is kind of fighting in between the daily EMA here. And if I go to the 4-hour as well, the 4-hour is technically also bullish, right? That being the higher high and this being the higher low, and it had significant pull towards the downside and is technically bouncing right now, and it can continue to rally upwards. However, I see that it has to break the 4-hour EME that is coming in up here, that may act as a potential resistance, and it has to break the daily EME before it can rally all the way to the take profit interval that is also coming in this resistance region. So there's a lot of resistance coming in. Therefore, I think best thing to do is not even look at EURJPY for now and put it under the backup pairs, and just we already have quite a bit of a JPY pair, so most probably we're only going to take one trade, so might as well look at the JPY pair that has the best form of market structure, right, that can induce us better profits. So that's EURJPY. I'm already moving it down the list so that I'm not going to look at it anymore. I'm just going to go to AUDCHF now. AUDCHF, if I look at it on a weekly, right? So the last 2 weeks, a lot of things happened in AUDCHF, but the end result created a doji. And I'm actually looking at this particular trade in a very interesting way. The reason is because this is the weekly higher high, this is the weekly higher low. So technically the weekly is bullish. However, it came to this area, tested it from below. So this is technically still a resistance. And it took 2 weeks and it couldn't break it yet. It tried but created a week. Last week it tried and created an even bigger week. So this is showing to me that there has been a strong, some sort of rejection or some sort of sell pressure that's acting on the market. So maybe this might be the week where it has to push downwards. Again, this is just probability basis, right? I'm just seeing what the candle is telling me. And the candles are telling me that, hey, this area is really difficult to break. If I were to try to buy, most probably I'm going to have a lot of sell pressure, right? But if I'm going to try to sell, it's going to be easier. Therefore, I'm aiming for a potential sell, which will be a counter trend trade given that the weekly is a buy. So I got to be careful with the risk to reward, and I got to be careful with the dollar amount that I'm going to risk for this particular trade. But I see a sell lining up, right? The daily candle, if I were to see the daily candle structure wise, it is right at the spot over here, about to break into a sell. Technically, it is still a buy, but I believe what will happen is the market may just break below, and any push above will be a confirmation to continue to sell. I got to bear in mind that if I'm going to sell this, by that time, daily EMA is going to come in that can act as a support. So in order to hit the take profit level, it has to break through the daily EMA as well. So there's a lot of challenges in this particular trade. If I look at the 4-hour candlestick, it is clearly a sell right now, and any break below and a pullback, eventually this 4-hour EMA will also come as a resistance in my favor. However, I believe this is a trade that is worth looking at, but let's just see how the market opens and how the candle reacts before I conclude anything. If we were to look at the market, and if it opens and it started pushing upwards, then the pro trend trade is still winning, right? The market can always do that, right? But from what I see, it is technically still making a higher high. So let the market break below first and reconfirm, then we can discuss further if we want to enter this for a sell. So let the market show its hand first, right? So that's AUDCHF, interested for a sell. Next, I'll move to USDCAD. So now USDCAD, this is an interesting one. The weekly, this is the higher high, this is the higher low. So technically weekly is a buy. It had quite a strong pullback, made this area as a support, and now it's bouncing back, breaking above. Now, any sort of pullback, I'm expecting for a continuation push upwards, understanding that the EMA of the weekly is coming in over here, lining up perfectly at the round psychological number of 1.38,000. So this can act as a very strong resistance, right? Therefore, my take profit is set over here, right below that area. If I look at daily candlestick pattern, it has been rallying only for the past 1 week, right? This is the higher high, this is the higher low. And if I look at time count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, literally the entire week it has only been moving upwards, breaking this area. So logically speaking, it should have some sort of a pullback, and then we can consider for an entry, for a buy, given that we are taking the profit before it reaches to 1.38 thousand, right? The 4-hour is technically a buy as well. It has to turn into a sell. You got to understand that the 4-hour has to turn into a sell to come to the desired area before we can get a good risk to reward. So USDCAD is technically a buy I'm looking for. Moving on to EURUSD. So EURUSD, on a weekly basis, this is the lower low, this is the lower high. So weekly is technically a sell. I see that the last candle last week had a significant push downwards, and the weekly EMA is coming up as well. It's close to the round psychological number of 1.16 thousand. So this can act as a potential base now, right? If I look at the daily candlestick, the daily is technically a buy with a good amount of retracement. So maybe they may just be a continuation for a buy now, right? But the daily EMA may come in between the take profit interval. So this is another challenge that it has to pass through, right? And the 4-hour is technically a sell right now. Now, I'm expecting, in order to get a good risk to reward, some sort of a push downwards and reconfirm that this area is good. Ideally, I want the market to push upwards, but not just push upwards, to actually come above here and then retest to confirm before I could enter for a potential buy. Because now I see that the daily and the 4-hour EMA would be coming in, and I need to beat through all these things. That's why EURUSD is not one of my best pairs for the upcoming days, because there's quite a bit of challenges as well for it to face. But technically, EURUSD, I'm looking for a buy, which is a counter trend trade compared to the weekly sell pattern. Moving on to the next potential trade over here, which is EURGBP, which, to be honest, I was highly anticipating the market to push downwards for a sell, because I saw the shoulder, head, shoulder, and a retest and a break towards the downside. And this was a typical head and shoulder pattern playing on a weekly basis. And when it was retesting, I was expecting a strong push towards the downside. Unfortunately, the market literally rallied all the way up. So this is where we gotta understand, or we gotta learn that end of the day, no matter what pattern that we see, let it be head and shoulders, let it be triangle pattern, let it be a bullish flag pattern or a bearish flag pattern, whatever the pattern may be, it is always probability basis. It is always technically a 50-50 chance whether it can break towards the upside or it can break towards the downside. The market can even show its hand first, but eventually literally turn direction to the other side. It could be news induced or whatever it may be to hit your stop loss. So that's why risk management and setting a stop loss is very, very critical when it comes to trading. So understanding that, and understanding that the last week, the whole week, the market has already rallied upwards coming to this region, but technically the weekly is still a sell, being the lower low here and the lower high here. I'm expecting for a sell when the market comes to this area. So if I look at daily candlestick pattern as well, technically this is the lower low and this is the lower high. The market has not broken above this area. So a push towards the upside now, I'd be interested for a sell. But it's not immediate. Most probably it's going to take a few days for it to play out, to buffer here before it pushes down. I need the market to show its hand first before I can enter this trade. And if I look at the 4-hour, obviously the market is bullish right now. The 4-hour is a buy, and it's going to continue to be a buy before it comes to this region. So I'll continue to monitor what the market is about to do. But EURGBP, I'm looking for a buy once the market, I'm looking for a sell once the market comes to this region over here. Moving on to USDCHF. Now, USDCHF on a weekly basis, it is a sell. Let me just zoom in over here. So this is the lower low, and this area over here, this is the lower high. Let me just pull the arrow over here so that it's more clear. This is the lower high and this is the lower low, right? So weekly is a sell, and if I go to daily, technically the daily is a buy. This is the higher high and this is the higher low. So daily is a buy. Daily EMA now is in our favor. It's below here. Round psychological number of 0.78500 is below here, coming in as our favor as a support for a buy. And the 4-hour candlestick again is also a buy. Now I want the market to actually break above because it's coming from below, retesting from below. So I don't want to be buying into a resistance. I want the market to break this, come back again, make this as a support, and then I want to buy into a support, right? So USDCHF, I'm looking for a buy. Next will be GBPCAD. So GBPCAD, now for GBPCAD weekly, this is the lower low, this is the lower high. So weekly is a sell. The market has already pulled back quite significantly, got pushback, pulled back again quite significantly and got a tremendous pushback. So I'm expecting any sort of pullback now to follow with a pushback. Can it take this week to directly have the week and then continue to push downwards? Maybe, I don't know. It may even take one whole week to pull back over here and another whole week to push back down here. But if it happens, right? On a daily, right now, this is the lower low and this is the lower high. So probably a few days to come back up here. This is my expectation, right? The market can do whatever it wants, can continue to rally downwards as well. But I see this region over here with a lot of candle pushing upwards and downwards as a potential area for the market to come back and retest and confirm this as a resistance and have the daily EMA to rally back down over here to confirm this area as a resistance and then reject from here and continue to rally downwards. So for a 1 to 2 risk to reward, I believe this is a nice trade. Most probably may take a few more days before it comes to this region, and probably around Wednesday, Thursday is when we get the sell. But I'll continue to keep an eye on this. GBPCAD, I'm looking for a sell. And last but not least is EURAUD. So EURAUD, now for this pair, the weekly is a sell. This is the lower low, this is the lower high, and the market has been making a doji over here, which gives me an indication that, hey, maybe, just maybe, the market is now ready to give some sort of pullback and then continue to rally downwards, right? So I need to let this market play out as well. If I look at the daily, this is the lower low and this is the lower high. And for the market to make some sort of a pullback, I see the market has bounced from this region and rallying upwards. Right now, this is a no trade region for me. I need the market to come back all the way up here, and if it does that, the daily EMA is significantly coming down. So probably by the time it comes up here, the daily EMA, the round psychological number of 1.64500, and this entire zone will start acting as a resistance, pushing the market to continue to rally downwards, right? And at that point of time, after the market pulls back, which may take 1 or 2 days or whatever, when the market push back down again, that will be a pro trend trade, because the weekly is a sell, the daily technically right now is a sell. By the time it comes over here, it would be a buy. And the 4-hour, same thing, technically it's a sell. By the time it comes over there, it will be a buy. I understand that I want the market to show me that it's coming here first, and at that point of time, the 4-hour will be a buy, the daily will be a buy, but the weekly will be a sell. So confirm this area, break it below again, and that's when I'll be interested to go with a pro trend sell trade. So that is EURUSD. So that's about it, guys. That's all the pairs that I've listed over here that I'm interested in trading. Some pairs I marked it above here because the reaction may be immediate, probably when the market opens. And the rest of the trade that I put it down here is probably going to take a few more days for the market to play out, to come to that region before I can enter. So I'll keep an eye and let's see how the market opens, right? I am most probably not going to enter any trade when it's Asia session. I prefer to enter London or New York session. So let's see how the market plays out. So that's about it, guys. That is pretty much the weekly game plan for the upcoming week. So all the very best and good luck, guys. Thank you.